My two youngest daughters, our two youngest girls, Berkeley and Briley, they remember two very influential ladies at our last church. One of them was Miss Betty Smith. Miss Betty Smith was the patriarch of the church. She was the choir director in Little Princeton, Indiana at First Church for decades. She came to Princeton, Indiana from Manhattan, where she graduated from the Juilliard School of Music. Miss Betty lived just down the street from us for about 2 years. And she would call down to the parsonage and say, "You can let the girls know that I've just baked a batch of fresh chocolate chip cookies." And they were the best chocolate chip cookies. We found out it was just the Nestle Toll House recipe, and she had doubled the amount of chocolate chips you put into it. More chocolate's a good thing, right? Anyway, our daughters would get on their bikes. They would ride down the street, up around to the back of Miss Betty's house, knock on the door where she would be waiting with her walker and 2 bags of cookies, one for each one of them. The other influential person was named Bobby Bridgeland. She was our youngest daughter, Briley's mentor during confirmation. Bobby had Briley and her sister, Berkeley, over to her house to bake cakes and cookies, and one night the 3 of them fixed beef Wellington for dinner, and we had a feast. I found out my girls liked tennis. I had a golf club and a tennis racket in my daughter's hands by the time they were like 3 or 4. The golf didn't stick, by the way. But anyway, they found out my daughters played tennis, and their kids, who were now grown adults living their own lives, played tennis, and they were very active and involved, and they loved it. And so Bob and Bobby, yes, their names were Bob and Bobby Bridgeland, they would come 3 or 4 or 5 times a year to my daughter's tennis matches, even well into high school, when I was no longer their pastor, and our girls no longer attended that church. Cookies and cake and tennis made a lasting impact on our daughters because they offered them the gift of time, and it showed them the love of God.